For 5 years, Stellantis told the world that when Detroit finally electrified the muscle car, 70 years of American engineering heritage behind the Hellcat would translate directly into EV motor supremacy. They were wrong. The Xiaomi HyperEngine V8s just proved every word of it wrong. That motor, built by a company that was making smartphones 4 years ago, spins at 21,000 revolutions per minute, delivers 578 horsepower from a housing that weighs 7.2 kilograms, and does it at 97.5% peak efficiency. The Dodge Charger Daytona Scat Pack, Stellantis' $82,500 answer to the electric future, produces 670 horsepower total from two motors estimated at 12,000 to 14,000 revolutions per minute. At 12 horsepower per kilogram against Xiaomi's 80.3, Detroit isn't just behind. Detroit is operating in a different equation entirely. This is not a story about a fast car from China. This is a motor architecture story, a supply chain story, a Detroit story, and one of the most uncomfortable ones the American automotive industry has faced in a generation. The American muscle car was never just a product. It was a proof of concept proof that displacement-forced induction and mechanical audacity could produce something no other country could replicate. When Dodge launched the original Hellcat in 2014 with 707 horsepower from a supercharged 6.2-liter V8, it wasn't bragging. It was a declaration: Detroit builds power. Detroit has always built power. So when Stellantis announced the Charger Daytona EV in 2022, the logic felt sound. Take that culture, apply it to an 800-volt platform, and call it America's answer to the EV performance era. What no one in Detroit's engineering corridors appeared to seriously model was the motor itself, not the vehicle, not the 0 to 60 number, but the component: how fast it spins, how much power it extracts per kilogram, how efficiently it converts electricity into motion. Those were the metrics that mattered, and those were the metrics a phone company from Shenzhen had been quietly rewriting for 3 years. Every electric motor has a physical speed limit. As rotational velocity climbs past 14,000 revolutions per minute, rotor stress compounds exponentially bearing friction, escalates electromagnetic core losses, multiply, and the mechanical tolerances that were acceptable at lower speeds begin to fail. The engineering industry accepted this ceiling for decades, not because it couldn't be broken, but because breaking it required rethinking the rotor mass, the bearing geometry, and the inverter switching frequencies simultaneously. That is expensive. That is time-consuming. And when your existing motors are good enough to pass a 0 to 60 benchmark, there is no commercial pressure to push further. The Dodge Charger Daytona Scat Pack operates within that ceiling. Its dual motor system is estimated at 12,000 to 14,000 revolutions per minute peak, the industry standard for a high-performance PMSM architecture sourced from established Tier 1 suppliers. It is a competent solution to a problem the industry agreed to stop solving in 2018. Xiaomi did not agree. The HyperEngine V8s uses a reduced inertia rotor lower mass at the rotating center combined with precision bearing geometry in a high-frequency SiC inverter that can command 21,000 revolutions per minute and sustain it without thermal failure. The physics behind this is direct at identical torque output. A higher RPM motor delivers more power from a smaller package because power equals torque multiplied by rotational velocity. Xiaomi didn't just push the ceiling, they made the ceiling irrelevant. At 21,000 revolutions per minute against an estimated 14,000, Xiaomi holds a 50% rotational advantage, and that gap translates into every downstream metric that follows. Motor mass is not a footnote. In a performance EV, every additional kilogram of motor is a kilogram that consumes battery energy to carry degrades handling balance and increases unsprung weight at the axle. The relationship between motor weight and vehicle performance is not linear. It is systemic, affecting range calculations, suspension geometry, and thermal load simultaneously. The Charger Daytona EV Scat Pack achieves 670 horsepower from two motors with a combined estimated mass of 56 kilograms. That produces a system power density of approximately 12 horsepower per kilogram. For context, this is where most high-performance Western and Asian EV motors operate in 2024 to 2026. It is the industry standard. It is also a structural disadvantage that Stellantis cannot resolve without replacing the motor architecture entirely. The Xiaomi HyperEngine V8s delivers 578 horsepower from a single motor weighing 7.2 kilograms. That is 80.3 horsepower per kilogram, a 6.7 times density advantage over the Daytona's dual motor configuration. To bring this number to ground level, a driver leaving Charlotte for a track day at VIR in Virginia, 340 miles mixed highway and mountain roads, carries roughly 56 kilograms of motor mass in the Daytona consuming battery energy to move that weight across every mile. The SU7 Ultra's three-motor system, including the two V8 units, achieves more total output from less than half that combined motor mass. In a segment where every kilogram of battery costs $150 to $200, and every kilogram of motor costs range, the density gap is a financial penalty Stellantis is paying on every unit. At 500 kilowatts of output, a 1% efficiency loss is 5 kilowatts of waste heat. That heat does not disappear. It enters the cooling system, demands radiator capacity, consumes battery energy to manage and accelerates motor degradation under sustained load. At 6% loss, you are managing 30 kilowatts of continuous thermal output. That is the power draw of 6 American households at peak demand generated as waste inside a motor the size of a suitcase, while the vehicle is trying to accelerate. The Charger Daytona EV's dual motor system operates at an estimated 92 to 94% peak efficiency under optimal conditions. At 499 kilowatts of combined output, that means 30 to 40 kilowatts of thermal waste at peak demand. Stellantis' thermal management system, the coolant loops, the radiators, the software throttling exists largely to handle energy the motor should have converted into motion. The Xiaomi HyperEngine V8s operates at 97.5% peak efficiency. At 431 kilowatts per unit, thermal waste is approximately 10.8 kilowatts. Under the same sustained load conditions, Xiaomi generates less than one-third the heat of the Daytona system. On a summer track day in Austin, Texas, ambient temperature, 38 degrees Celsius, repeated acceleration runs, sustained high-speed cornering. That difference is not theoretical. It is the gap between a motor that maintains peak output through a session and one that thermal throttles by lap 4. The Daytona was built to pass a benchmark. The HyperEngine was built to sustain one. Let's be precise about what Stellantis built with the Charger Daytona EV Scat Pack. This is not a failed product. At $82,500, it delivers 670 horsepower, a genuine 3.3 seconds 0 to 60, and an 800-volt architecture that puts it ahead of most American EV competitors on charging speed. The Fratsonic exhaust system, a speaker-generated muscle car sound piped through a physical exhaust chamber, is an engineering novelty that the Dodge community, to its credit, accepted. By any 2022 benchmark, this was a credible EV performance vehicle. The problem is not what the Daytona is. The problem is what it reveals. Stellantis spent years and billions of dollars developing STLA Large, their flagship EV platform, and the best motor architecture they could produce for their Halo performance vehicle tops, out at an estimated 14,000 revolutions per minute, with a power density of approximately 12 horsepower per kilogram. That is the ceiling of what an established Western OEM, working with established Tier 1 suppliers Bosch, Magna, Borg, Warner, can deliver on a production timeline under shareholder pressure. It is the ceiling of a procurement culture, not an engineering one. Now consider what that ceiling means in market terms. The Daytona Scat Pack's primary competitors in the $75,000 to $100,000 performance EV segment are the BMW M3 CS Electric. Not yet in production, the Porsche Taycan Turbo S at 750 horsepower and roughly 93% peak motor efficiency, and the Tesla Model S Plaid at 1,020 horsepower using 3 motors. None of them approach 21,000 revolutions per minute. None of them approach 80 horsepower per kilogram. The Daytona is not losing to an outlier. It is losing to a new baseline that the entire Western performance EV segment has not yet registered as a threat. For Ford, the implications are lateral, but direct. The Mustang Mach-E GT 480 horsepower, $59,995, a single rear plus front motor configuration, operates in the same motor architecture paradigm as the Daytona. If Xiaomi's motor technology migrates into Chinese performance sedans and SUVs at volume, and the SU7 Ultra's 10,000 plus units delivered in 2024 suggests it already has, then the gap Ford and GM face is not a future problem. It is a present one being measured in revolutions per minute, kilograms, and percentage points of efficiency that accumulate into range heat and lap times. The number that should concern Stellantis most is not the 80.3 horsepower per kilogram. It is the trajectory. In 2021, Xiaomi did not make cars. In 2024, they held the Nürburgring production EV record. The rate of change in Chinese motor development is not slowing, it is compressing, and the Daytona's motor architecture, locked into Stellantis' STLA large platform through at least 2028, has no upgrade path that does not require replacing the motor entirely. The motor is the wrong place to look for the real problem. The real problem is what sits behind the motor. The rare earth magnet supply chain that makes a 21,000 revolutions per minute permanent magnet synchronous motor possible in the first place. The HyperEngine V8s runs on neodymium iron boron magnets. China controls approximately 85% of global rare earth processing capacity and 60% of raw extraction. The same supply chain that enables Xiaomi to build an 80 horsepower per kilogram motor at scale is the supply chain that every American EV manufacturer depends on to build any permanent magnet motor at all. When the Charger Daytona EV rolls off the Windsor assembly line in Ontario, the magnets inside its motors almost certainly pass through Chinese processing at some stage. The United States does not have a domestic rare earth processing facility capable of supplying automotive-grade neodymium at volume. The Mountain Pass mine in California extracts ore. The ore is shipped to China for processing. It returns as finished magnets. Tariffs do not fix this. A 100% tariff on Chinese vehicles, which the Biden administration imposed in 2024 and the current administration has maintained, does not address motor architecture. It does not build a domestic rare earth supply chain. It does not compress the 6.7 times power density gap between the HyperEngine and the Daytona's motors. What it does is delay the price signal the moment when American consumers can directly compare a $60,000 Chinese performance EV against an $82,500 Stellantis product and make a market decision. That delay is not permanent. It is a window, and it is closing. For the 4,500 workers at Stellantis' Windsor assembly plant building the Charger Daytona EV, the immediate risk is not a Chinese car on the lot next to it. The immediate risk is the platform decision Stellantis makes for STLA Large's next generation. If the motor architecture does not close the density gap, the platform loses its performance justification in export markets, Europe, Southeast Asia, Australia, where tariff protection does not apply. A platform that cannot compete globally is a platform that gets rationalized, and platform rationalization in the automotive industry is a polite term for factory closure. The investment implications are direct. Stellantis stock lost 40% of its value between January 2024 and June 2026, a period during which the Daytona EV launched, received strong initial reviews, and failed to move the market's confidence in the company's long-term EV competitiveness. BorgWarner, whose eDrive systems supply a significant portion of North American EV motor production, faces a structural question about whether their motor architecture can remain competitive as Chinese OEMs begin exporting not just vehicles, but motor technology licensing to third markets. What happens next depends not on tariffs, but on whether American engineering culture can move faster than it has in the last 40 years. Here is what the data has established. A company that did not exist in the automotive industry 5 years ago has built a motor that spins 50% faster, generates 6.7 times more power per kilogram, and wastes less than 1/3 the heat of the best motor Stellantis could put into their flagship performance EV. These are not projections. The HyperEngine V8s is in production. The Nürburgring record is on the books. The 21,000 revolutions per minute is a measured fact, not a press release. Stellantis did not fail because they lacked engineers. They failed because they asked their engineers the wrong question. The question was, how do we electrify the Charger? The question should have been, what does a motor look like when you remove every assumption inherited from the combustion era and start from physics? Xiaomi asked the second question. Detroit asked the first. The Charger Daytona EV will sell. It will find its buyers the Dodge faithful, who wanted permission to accept electrification on their own terms and received it. But the vehicle's commercial success in 2025 does not resolve the architectural deficit underneath it. A motor that generates 12 horsepower per kilogram does not become a motor that generates 80 by adding a software update or a new trim level. It requires a new motor, a new supplier relationship, a new engineering mandate, and in an industry where platform development cycles run 5 to 7 years, that conversation needs to have started in 2022. The question is not whether Xiaomi's motor technology works. It works. The lap time at the Nürburgring is a matter of public record. The question is whether Stellantis, Ford, and GM will still be defining what a performance vehicle means by the time their next motor architecture reaches production, or whether that definition will have already been written in revolutions per minute by a company that used to make phones.